Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Studio. My name is Adam, and today we have yet another marimba on the show. It is the Marimba One Wave. Thank you so much to my studio VIPs, Artifact Percussion, Zero Gravity Percussion, Rob Utomo, Will Flinner, Mallet Lab, Bradley Crowley, John K. Holter, Matt Olsavsky, Ryan Carlisle, Sang Shun Han, and Rudolph Kralik. Thank you so much for your continued support. And today's featured studio artist is John Cox. Thank you so much for your continued support. And if you'd like to become a studio VIP or a studio artist, you can go to patreon.com/Adam10, or you can click over here. Welcome back to the show once again. I hope you've been well. And yes, we have yet another marimba in the studio, and it's from Ron Samuels. That's right, guys, we're very lucky today to have the Marimba One Wave 4.3 octave marimba in the studio, right here in the flesh. I can't believe we have 4 marimbas in the studio. That is just outrageous. But yes, just like the last 2 episodes, today's episode is going to be part 1 of the Marimba One Wave series. This is a very exciting marimba to be reviewing, so I can't do it all in one episode, otherwise that would be just so long. So we're going to do it in 2 parts instead. This week's video will be mostly about the main features of the instrument, the build quality, the setup and installation, all that sort of stuff. And next week's episode is going to be about how it sounds, the sound test, and also my final verdict. But before we get into the video, I just want to say a big thank you to Marimba One for sending in this instrument literally weeks before PASIC 2018, and also literally weeks after this thing actually came out. It was only announced about 4 weeks ago, and this is the 5th one in the world. Literally, this is serial number 5. So we are very lucky to have this instrument here. Thank you so much, Ron Samuels. But despite all of that, this video is not sponsored by Marimba One. I was not paid to say nice things about this instrument. I'm not endorsed by Marimba One. I'm not a Marimba One artist. I just really like marimbas. So anyway, guys, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with Marimba One because you would have seen it a lot on the show. We've reviewed pretty much all of their mallets. We've also reviewed their vibraphone that came out last year, the One Vibe. But if you don't know Marimba One, they're a brand from Arcata, California, and they're very well known for making professional grade marimbas for literally anyone. You might have also noticed that the front of the instrument looks completely different to anything Marimba One we've had before. Yes, that's right, Marimba One has a new logo. They now have this very bold, fresh sans serif logo instead of the old Lucido handwriting thing. I think it's definitely sort of representative of their push for more modern innovations in instruments and things like that. So everyone welcome the new logo. So you start off with the top layer of the box, which has the accessory bar, which is a brand new feature, as well as the joining big bars. I like to call them battle axes, but they're basically the struts for the frame. You also have the instruction manual. I didn't take the instruction manual out of the box because this instrument is actually not for me. It's going to be passed on to someone else, so they can have the pleasure of opening that envelope. On this layer, you also get all of the aluminium rails, which are nice and folded up. So you just take them out, that's pretty straightforward. The next 2 layers are the frame ends. So you have one layer for the big frame and one layer for the small frame. And these come out pretty easily. You don't have to be very strong because everything is so light. And then underneath that layer, you will find the resonators to one side, and you'll also find the bars on the other side. So everything comes out pretty easily. Like, I'm not very strong, as you guys know. They literally all fit in the back of my Hyundai hatchback. So that's the first time any instrument in this room has ever fit in my hatchback. Even my own 5-octave Marimba One Izzy with the cases on does not fit in my hatchback, which I'm a little bit sad about. But yes, just to demonstrate how light this instrument is and how easy it is to carry, like, I can even lift the whole thing on one side, and I'm not even strong, I'm just weak. I couldn't install my 5-octave Marimba One Izzy by myself because the resonators were too heavy, but this instrument can definitely be installed by yourself, which is a major advantage. So you start off with the frame ends and you join the strut bar, the crossbar, or whatever you want to call it, into one end on each side. So one for the small end and one for the big end. And this has got to be one of the easiest frame assemblies, which points me to the first key feature of the Marimba One Wave, which is of course the wave lock system. So on this entire marimba, there are only 4 turning knobs that you use to tighten the frame. There's 2 on each side, which are used to reinforce the struts, and that's it. This is called the wave lock system. It's basically a cam lever. Drop the piece of metal in, which slots in very nicely, and just shut the lever. It's so easy. I think this is the first marimba on the planet that has such an easy tool-free system of putting this thing together. So once you have both frame ends set up, you literally slide them into each other, and of course, being a Marimba One instrument, it slides in just perfectly. Once it stops sliding in, then you just flip the wave lock closed, and it's set. And you'll notice that instantly the frame becomes a lot stronger. So anyway, we unfold the resonators, we open the latch, close the latch, and then it becomes one piece. And of course, these resonators are super light. Super light, which means they can be put on by one person. So you literally just drop it into the slot. It couldn't be any easier. Like, it is so flush. So after putting the accidental and natural resonators, you start to realize this thing is super sturdy. Even with no rails on it, it moves around very sturdily. They're not gonna fall off at all. The next thing to put in is the sway bar, which is just this little spiky piece of metal that is in the shape of the resonators and the rails, and you just slot that into the resonators in the 2 slots, and it just sits there. It's basically a support bar that gives it additional rigidity. Once you have the sway bar and the resonators in, then you put the rails on. The rails are quite easy because they have numbers on them, and of course they just slot in. I just love the way they go into the slots. It's so simple. You don't need to hammer it in with your hand. You don't need to estimate. It would always drop in first time every time. Once you have the rails in, then it's time to roll out the rosewood bars. Yes, that's right. This instrument is made of rosewood. You roll out the rosewood as you would. You put the naturals on first, and then you put the accidentals on, and then you put the string together, and that bit's done. And the last thing to do is put this thing on. So this is the brand new Marimba One accessory bar. It's basically just a curved bar that sits on the front of the marimba, and you can mount accessories to it like cymbals and whatever else you need to use in front ensemble. Just like everything else with the wave lock system, this accessory bar literally just slots in like that. That was so easy. And then if you want to close it, all you have to do is flip the wave lock and flip this one as well. So overall, I'd say the unboxing and installation is one of the easiest processes on any marimba, any size, and I think that makes it very ideal for literally anything, whether it's setting up things quickly for school use, or bringing this on road trips, or any sort of external performances that you have to do in venues you're not sure of. It's just a very convenient instrument to assemble. So being a Marimba One marimba, the Marimba One Wave also has an options list, just like the Marimba One Izzy, starting off with the bars, where you can choose from traditional, enhanced, and premium. So traditional is the base model, enhanced is a little bit better, and premium is obviously the best of the best. And on the resonator side, you can get the classic resonators as well as the Basso Bravo resonators, which are a bass enhanced version. And I know that the most popular combination with the Marimba One Izzy is usually enhanced bars and the Basso Bravo resonators. So I think that will be the same for this instrument too. Now the Marimba One Wave starts at the price of $6,500 US before shipping, which is about average for a 4 1/3 octave rosewood marimba. I wouldn't say it's cheap or expensive, it's just kind of in the middle. And when you start adding options, of course, the price starts to go up. So the most expensive Marimba One Wave is approximately $12,000. That's with premium and Basso Bravo. So if you go all the way up there, you might want to consider going for a 5 octave instead. But speaking of a 5 octave, yes, there is also a 5 octave wave marimba available as well. There's no pricing information on that one just yet, but yes, you can get this in 5 octave size, which will be very, very interesting. So now we're going to dive into the main features of this marimba. We're going to start off with the top, which is the rosewood bars. Yes, all Marimba One Wave instruments, just like all Marimba One marimbas, are made of rosewood. And I also love the color of these bars. I just love it so much because they don't all look the same. I know some manufacturers like to paint their bars so they all look exactly the same, but Marimba One always has that very natural woody look, which really showcases the rosewood. I love it. You'll also notice that the bar posts that these bars are mounted on are very solid pieces, and they all have felt around them, which is a recurring theme of all Marimba One instruments. They tend to put felt in literally anything. In fact, there's actually felt on the resonators as well, so that when you fold them up, they don't clap against each other, which is just really smart. I feel like putting felt, like just a tiny strip of felt on contact points should be really obvious, but a lot of people just don't do it. It's weird. Now we're gonna move to the right-hand corner of the instrument. This is a very interesting place to be because we have the brand new logo, which is laser engraved, and it's reflective in light as well. It looks super premium, feels really nice. What I did find a little bit funny though is that all of these components, like the wave lock system and the edge of the frame, all have the old Marimba One logo on them. So there's a bit of a clash there. Hopefully they can update these components as well with the same logo. That would be nice. But yes, it's the first Marimba One marimba ever to be made fully out of aluminum, because in the past they were made out of wood. I know my Marimba One Izzy has mahogany on the sides, and even the rails, although they're aluminum, they're also actually wood in between, whereas these rails are 100% aluminum. Now on the side over here you have the gas lifts, the signature Marimba One gas lift, or as some people like to call it, pneumatic height adjustment. This is one of my favorite features of Marimba One instruments because it means they're very easy to lift up and down for students or anyone who just needs to have lots of different heights at a different time. All you have to do is literally pop these levers open, and then after you encourage it a little bit, gas lift is active, and then you can just move it up and down as you wish. You don't really need to hold it or anything, and because the gas lift is so strong, you don't have to lift it yourself. Look at that. So strong. You might have also noticed that on the side they have these numbers, which are the same numbers on all Marimba One instruments. I know I'm a 92, so I'm going to set it onto 92 by putting it up to the line. And then to put it back into the lock position, I literally just have to twist the levers back in, and it's done. And now the whole thing is super stable. See, it's just a really good gas lift system. And also these wheels are very, very simple and sleek and very low key. So you could literally use them on a concert hall stage or front ensemble without much problem. Although I think maybe they need to start introducing pneumatic tires to take it on serious field trips. But anyway, very easy to flick the brake on and off, which is something I've always loved about Marimba One instruments. This is a really awkward angle. I'm just gonna get out of here. Next thing you notice, which is a signature of Marimba One, is of course these resonators, or as I refer to it, that curve. And when this curve design first came out on the newer Marimba One instruments a few years ago, people were saying things like, oh, you're wasting so much metal. Oh, it looks so bad, it's not traditional looking. And now I find it really hilarious that those same people are now buying instruments from other manufacturers, which also have this curve design. Everyone's doing it now, so it's hip to be curvy. But one thing that is different about these resonators compared to the Izzy is that the Izzy on both sides has that wooden piece with the felt surrounding it that sits really flush on both sides, whereas this one only has it on the right hand side. On the left hand side, it has the traditional slots, which are just basically the two pieces of metal going into the slots. Now, I think it's because these resonators are lighter, so they don't need so much support, but it does mean that they do wiggle about a little bit more than the ones that are super stiff, which is totally fine. I mean, it's still not wiggling much when you move the actual marimba, but otherwise, yeah. It would have been nice to have the wood pieces on both sides. But either way, you have to admit the front end of this instrument is just gorgeous. Me lying on the ground, not so much. So yeah guys, that is the Marimba One Wave so far, and that's all the key design features. I have to say, it's definitely a very, very innovative design. Everything about it is very smart, everything about it feels very premium, and just really well thought out. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed part 1 of the Marimba One Wave review, please give me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. And please leave a comment down below of what you thought of this instrument so far. If you'd like to see anything on it in next week's episode, please let me know, I would really like to hear from you. I really wish I got to keep it. Unfortunately, I have to give it back in a month's time, so that's really heartbreaking. But yes, in addition to part 2 being released next week, there is also PASIC 2018. If you guys are going to be at PASIC 2018, please let me know in the comments down below, because I will be there too and I would love to meet you. Details of where you can hang out with me as well as a few of my friends will be on my Facebook and Instagram pages, which is of course facebook.com/UntitledChapter and instagram.com/TheStudioFamily. Yes guys, if you'd like to keep up with my uploads as well as the release of part 2 of this review, please hit that red subscribe button below. Thank you so much for 11,000 subscribers. We are just growing really, really fast now. And if you'd like to see more instruments on the show or just more of what you want, please share my videos around and please share my channel around, because that will help all these manufacturers and all these people send me more stuff which I can show to you guys. Anyway, I will see you guys next week for part 2 of the Marimba One Wave review on another episode of The Studio. Thanks for watching and good night.